It was you guys. You are coming here to present the effects of poverty on child development. Yeah. So don't you think these are the things that are going to bring about a change in the developmental order or the predictable order? You get it? Okay. So you were saying that the same child that is going to a public school and another one that's going to a private school, they are going to develop their vocabulary different. So this one that is going to a public school, and is it not a child enough for it to go through the stages of development? There are factors that are making it not to develop the way it is developing. Someone talked about water and nutrition. To say the children are not going to develop as expected. So yes, we've got a map, we've got benchmarks where we believe that this is how a child is going to develop. But however, every child has got a unique course that it goes through. So there are factors that are going to play a part in this. These are the genetic factors as well as the environment. So the environment and the genetic factors are going to bring about changes in your course through which a child is going to go through. You may find that the children of the same house, if the parent is keeping records, at 2 years, one child was able to do a certain thing. At the same 2 years, another child is not doing that under the same roof, same parents. What is happening? The environment, the treatment. But at the same time, genetic factors. Not every child is going to be like the father. Not every child is going to be like the mother. What if they are not going to take after the immediate parents, but the child is going to take after grand or great grandparents? That is going to play a part. So you see that one child is epileptic. I don't know if epilepsy is genetic. So, go in history, you'll find that the grandfather was also suffering from the same. A child may be born with a certain disease. If you go down in history, you find, okay, let's talk about allergies. You go down in history, you find that the grandmother or the grandfather was also asthmatic or was also allergic to a lot of things. So the development of this child, much as the environment is still the same, but there's something in its genes that is going to affect the development. So here is a child who is asthmatic. This child is constantly being told, don't play outside, don't stay in the sun for too long, don't play with dust. Development is going to be affected. You get the point? Okay. So we are saying, much as the course is predictable, but it is unique for every child, because every child does not progress at the same rate at each stage. And these are affected by developmental experiences, which could be influenced by genetic factors as well as environmental factors. According to Piaget says that early childhood consists of 3 stages. Jean Piaget believes that early childhood consists of 3 stages. The first one is known as the sensory motor. That's 0 to 2. Sensory motor. He divides early childhood into 3 stages, 0 to 2, and then there is a pre-operational stage. That's the second one. Pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years. And there is a concrete operational stage. Concrete operational stage, that's the third one. In developmental psychology, childhood is divided up into the developmental stages of one, infancy. I talked about how Jean Piaget divides childhood development, right? Okay, so the next one I'm saying, developmental psychology. Childhood is divided into stages like one, infancy and toddlerhood. That's the first stage, infancy and toddlerhood. Which is, you can put in brackets, the learning to walk stage. Learning to walk in brackets. And the second one is early childhood, which is the play age. Remember? Am I too fast? Yeah, sometimes you can just sit and listen, it's fine, it's okay. So there is infancy and toddlerhood, there is early childhood, which is the play age, and then there is middle childhood, which is the school age. And the last one is adolescence. Developmental psychology, that's how it divides early childhood. Infancy, early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence. So when we're talking about growing up in a child, we've talked about this before, but I'll just quickly talk about it again. The domains of child development. What are the areas that develop when we are talking about early childhood development? What are the exact domains that develop? So the domains of child development is the cognitive part, the physical part. There are four domains of child development: cognitive, physical, language, and the social emotional. Social emotional. The child develops cognitively, the child develops language-wise, physically, as well as social emotional. So when they are developing cognitively, they start to learn and process information. They start to learn and process information. This is also the period when they start imagining. They will sit down and start imagining. Critical thinking, when the child starts thinking critically, this is also cognitive development. There's problem solving, as well as acquisition of memory. Imagination, learning and processing of information, critical thinking, problem solving, reasoning, and memory. These are some of the indicators to say a child is developing cognition. The other time I talked about a child that has started to lie, problem solving. They have finished all the cookies, and the mother comes in to say, what happened? Then they start covering up with all sorts of lies. What is happening? Problem solving skills, because now they are growing up. Last time I ate all the cookies, I was smart. This time I have eaten this, but because I don't want to go through troubles, I'm going to come up with an idea. Critical thinking, reasoning. You tell them, can you please keep quiet? Can you please go to bed? But why? So every time you're telling a child something, they will ask you why. Why? You need to give a reason and a good reason for them to follow through the instructions that you're giving. That's development. And And then they come to a point where they will stop asking you why. Because when you say it, they understand and they'll just do it as expected. So that's cognitive development. And language. This is also another area that's very clear for parents or teachers or whoever is handling the kids to be able to know that this child is developing. And they will also be in a position to know there's a problem with this child, she needs or it needs therapy. So, communication with others has to be okay. Language acquisition, we acquire language because we want to communicate. But when you see that the child is failing to communicate, then you see that somewhere there's a problem. So, communication with others, but again, learning and interpreting sounds. That's a sign that the child is developing its language. Learning and interpreting sounds. So a young child, the mother will just go like, The child will know this is no. They are able to hear the sounds and interpret the meaning of the sound. So at first the mother will go with the head. And eventually the child is going to know. Even when the mother goes so you know the child is developing, they are able to interpret that and make meaning out of the sounds that the parent is doing. But at the same time, the actual talking, when the child is able to talk freely, words are simply coming out one after another, you know that development is taking place. At 3 years, the child can't really make sense of, they're still blabbering, you know something is not right. It's either their hearing has got a problem, or maybe the tongue is somewhere else, or maybe the brain is not functioning as it is supposed to. Maybe the part that has got something to do with speech has been affected. But again, for you to know that a child is developing in the area of language, they should also have at least some writing language skills. They should be able to write their name, write a few things, depending on the size or the age at which they are. Okay. The social emotional part has got its own indicators to show that the child is growing up. A child that is always clinging to its mother, yet they are 2 years, but he or she wants nobody but my mom, my dad, or my brother. That's not growing up. But the moment you can now see they're able to run after other people, that's an indication to say we have moved from one stage to another. So, getting along with others, able to share toys, able to share the ability to share toys, the ability to share food, the ability to let go and knowing that, okay, after she's done playing with it, it's going to be mine again. Apart from that, self-esteem is also another area where you can see that a child is growing up. Understanding and expressing emotions. To bring a child to a point where it understands, it's a problem. It needs to grow to a certain age where it will be able to sit down and reason with it. So as it gets to that age, you actually know, I think we have made some strides here. So understanding and expressing emotions, they are also benchmarks to indicate that growing is taking place. I want you not to do this, but why? So they will tell you, but why, and then eventually start crying, even though you are explaining as much as you can. But then at some point, you explain, they know, okay, I think this is a no, and this no is fine. You get in the shop, before you go into the shop, you stop and you start telling it, you know what? We are going into Santa Plaza, but when we're going there, what are we buying again? we're going to Santa Plaza and we're buying a packet of sugar. Are we buying it all? No, we're not. When we go in and come out, what are we going to have? A packet of sugar. All right, let's go in. So you go in, he goes straight to a packet of sugar, he picks it and you go pay for it, you go outside, all is well. But there was a time when you go like, we are going to Santa Plaza, we are buying a packet of sugar, right? What are we buying? A packet of sugar, okay. You go inside, you are going to pick a packet of sugar, but somebody else is going to the aisle where there are a lot of toys. And you go like, but we say, but no, I want this. But we agreed, no, I want this. And then the next thing, they start rolling on the ground, shouting and making all sorts of noise. What is happening? They are still young. You told them, but they can't understand. They are not reasoning yet. But then eventually you see, when you get into the shop, you tell them, they understand. You go in, you go out as planned. The next time, you don't have to even stop and tell them this is what you're buying. You just go inside together, get what you want, and then you go to the till, go pay for it. The next thing you hear, can I have this? Can I have this watch? No, I don't have that. Ah, okay. In peace, you go out. What is happening? The child is developing. In as far as understanding and expressing emotions are concerned. They will tell you I'm sad, but it's okay. If you say you don't have money, it's fine, but I really wanted it. What is happening? They are able to express their emotions. So these are, okay, the other part is the fourth one, is the physical. The physical part is now when their fine motor skills develop. There is a fine motor skills, there is gross motor skills. They develop properly. When you look at a young child, you are giving it something, you're putting something in front of it. The eyes are fixed on it, but the hand is going in a different direction. It's not because they don't want to pick what you're giving them, but because their motor skills are not yet there. So the child is going to stretch her hands in all directions without grabbing it. But eventually, it may grab it by chance. As it grows, you give it something, the hand goes straight to that. So the fine motor skills, the gross motor skills, they get to develop. Sometimes the child is old enough, it is standing, you put a ball there for it to kick, but it's standing to kick. At our age, kicking a ball is something that comes, you can do it. It's okay, you don't even have to think about it. But for a child, for it to kick a ball, it takes a lot. There has to be coordination in the muscles and everything else. So you see them, they're trying to kick it, but they can't. But eventually, at some age, they will kick the ball. They are developing physically. Hand and eye coordination, that's also something else. Balance. The idea of standing up and without falling, that's development. You have a child lying there looking at you, you wave the hands, you see that the eyes are not following where the hand is going. A week passes. The second week, when you're waving like that, it is following with the eyes. The next thing, it is following with the hair. That's also development. You carry a child, you see that the neck is not strong enough. But eventually, it's going to be able to hold the head on top of its neck. That is also part of physical development. So these are the 4 domains where a child is expected to grow. There are other areas that grow, but the 4 within these 4 domains. So it is important for a social worker to know these areas of development, because you're going to be dealing with different kids at different ages, if need be, but then you need to know. When this is not happening, it means it is this area that has been affected. And that is why, during our first semester, we also learned about the brain, the neurons, and all that. So you should be able to put pieces together and give help where need be. We have got 10 minutes to go. I think I can quickly say this before time goes. You have another class after this one? Are you done for today? In the afternoon. Foundational studies? Oh. Let us look at stages or periods of early childhood development. Some descriptions, what does psychology and other psychologists say. So there are different descriptions of periods of early childhood development. Some age-related development periods, and they are defined as 1, baby, 0 to 4 weeks, that's a baby. So we are talking about periods of early childhood development. So the first period is 0 to 4 weeks, that's a baby. 0 to 4 weeks. Then there is an infant, that's 4 to 1 year, infant. Then there is a toddler, that's 1 to 2 or 3 years. One toddler, 1 to 2 or 3 years. Toddler, Toddler. Toddler. And then there is a preschooler or early childhood, 3 to 5 years. Preschooler, stroke early childhood, 3 to 5 years, and then there is a school-aged child, stroke middle childhood, 5 to 6 to 12. Middle-aged, school-aged child, stroke middle childhood. This one is 6 to 12 years. The other one was 3 to 5, now 6 to 12. And then the last one are the adolescents, which is also known as late childhood, 13 to 19 years. 13 to 19. So, each period is a continuum. Adolescent or late childhood, 13 to 19 years. School-aged child is middle childhood. That's 6 to 12. Okay, so I was saying each period is a continuum. Continuum, coming from the word continuous. Continuum. With individual differences regarding its start and ending. Each period is a continuum with individual differences regarding its start and ending. All right, so for today, let's stop here Next time we meet, we will pick a comment. Do we have any questions? There's many, but what we learned last time is what I gave you, but what I'm teaching now, you don't have.
So when you say first stage is from 0 to 4 weeks,
Which category is this? Piaget or developmental psychology?
the developmental psychology, what I just said.
Yes.
So my question is, does 0 start from the day of when a woman has conceived, or it has started from birth?
The day the woman has conceived. When the child is born, is it 0? Is it at 0? No, right? Where is it at? When it's born, when it's out of the mother, it's at 0?
So that. So you said that one. Okay. In the biology, from people, they say from 0, right? But from other countries like China, when you're in the stomach, you're 1 year old. Then when you're born, you're 2. It's even
All right, so when you're born with 2 years.